All right, you finally decided it's time to start making content, right? You're either gonna start streaming or making YouTube videos or whatever the case may be, but you're not sure what mic to choose, right? Well, this mic right here might be a great first start because it is the Fifine AmpliGame AA+. It's under $100. It's easy to use with plug and play connectivity, and I mean, it's got RGB. Let's talk about it. So before we actually get into what the mic actually sounds like, I wanted to do a quick unboxing so you guys can see what comes in the package. Let's go ahead and see what's in the box. Boom. So we got stereo, omnidirectional, cardioid, and bi-directional. User manuals. Nobody reads these, but I like to actually appreciate the art that they put behind it. So what kind of pictures do they use? So if you need that, that's her. And the mic itself. It already comes, I kind of thought it would come separate, which this is kind of nice. This is very like as plug and play as it comes because it's already pre-built with the shock mount and stand. Whip out the cable, and then you got your mic stand and thread adapter that comes within side of it. That's it, that's all, that's everything that's inside. So it's kind of hard to see with how much black on black is going on here. But as mentioned, it is very just ready to go out the box. If you didn't want to mess around with building it or assembling anything, you're good here. What I notice is that it is very light. Now that's either a really good thing or a bad thing, just really depends on either your preference or just how you feel with what weight is to you. Because sometimes weight equals quality, which isn't always the case. But yeah, it is very light. The material is like a sturdy plastic. It isn't any type of metal or carbon fiber, but sturdy plastic indeed. So nothing too flimsy or cheap. This probably is the cheapest feeling thing, is this knob. But we gotta keep in mind the price point of this entire mic set. They had to cut corners somewhere, and clearly this little, I guess, stand in general, and this knob is what I really don't like. But probably like most of us, we won't be using this. So unless you're someone who just wants a plug and play, pull out the box, plug in and good to go, you're gonna love the fact that this is Little Caesars hot and ready, good to go. If that's what you want, this is what you're gonna get. And what I really do like though is, I don't know if you can see this with the overhead, there is a little smiley face on it, which I think is actually quite adorable. And you know what, man? If you're a streamer, or in my case, you make YouTube videos, I'm gonna pretend this is you guys smiling back at me as I talk to you guys, because that is, you guys are cute. So that is all that you get within the package. You get your USB-C to A cable, which is said to be 6 feet long. And then you get your mic stand that most of you will be putting off to the side, like most mic stands in every mic package. And then you get your mic itself with a pre-assembled shock mount and pop filter. And then of course your boom mount or mic stand adapter. So that's it. We're gonna head back upstairs, plug it in and see what it sounds like and see all the different things that it can do and run it through a multitude of tests. All right, with the unboxing out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about what all can this mic right here do. So first, we have USB-C connectivity. Every piece of technology should have USB-C. Good job on that, which also means that it is Mac compatible. We also have capacitive touch buttons. So at the top, we have the mute button. In the front, we have the polar pattern selection button. And at the bottom, the RGB selector. Again, they're all touch capacitive. As you saw in the unboxing, we have the pre-assembled shock mount, which is nice because sometimes you have to build them. In this case, it's already built for you, along with the pop filter. It's already on there, it's good to go. There is latency-free monitoring, which is actually why I'm wearing these Audio-Technica headphones so I can hear myself through the mic, zero latency whatsoever, which is very nice. Not to mention, it also pushes all your audio out of the 3.5mm jack that we have underneath. On the back, we have our gain control knob at the top, and then at the bottom, we have the headphone out control knob. The mic also has tri-capsule array, which essentially based off of what you can see on the box has 3 mic capsules that are facing different directions to give you the 4 different polar patterns. Those 4 polar patterns being stereo, omni, cardioid, and bidirectional, which we'll go through and test them all here in a second. And as far as standout features, it's probably the one that you can see for yourself, the RGB. Most mics at underneath the $100 price point do not come with RGB. You typically would have to spend I'd say probably around $140 or even more to get that. All right, let's go ahead and test this mic out by trying a couple of different things. Starting off first with plosives with and without the pop filter. I just looked up a bunch of words that started with the P. Gonna read them off, see how this does. Pace, Pacific, Pacifier, Peanut, Pageant, Pally, Palmy, Pam Beasley. This is with the pop filter on. I can get a little closer. I don't want to blow out the mic. So here we are with my name is Peter Parker. Peed his pants because he was embarrassed with the P. Now let's try without the pop filter. Which, by the way, you can just slide this out of the way. You don't necessarily have to take it off. Palmy, palpable, pampered, Peter Parker, pancake. And again, this is the plosive test without the pop filter. Now let's try the proximity test. Which, for those that don't know, the proximity test is simply, or proximity effect is when you get close to the mic like this. And this is what you're gonna sound like. You can hear everything you do when you get this close. I'd imagine you would use this for ASMRs. You like that, don't you? Now onto what I believe is a lot more of an important test for any streamers out there, which is using the actual controls on the mic itself. So we're gonna first start with the muting and unmuting of the mic. So I'm gonna keep talking and then we're gonna press the I'm unmuting, and I did hear a pop. I've tested it before and I heard a pop as well, which is a bit concerning. You don't hear anything when I press the button, but oh, I missed it. When I unpress it, you do hear that pop. I'm not gonna speak, I'm just gonna press it. So a little bit of a pop. Again, for you streamers out there, that may be a little bit of a concern. Do keep that in mind. Now we can go ahead and press these other buttons. So the RGB button at the bottom, again, they are all touch capacitive. So the good part about that is that you don't hear an actual clickable physical button. That's great for streaming. And then the next one we can go ahead and press is the front polar pattern selection button. Here we are in the bidirectional, stereo, omni, and then back on cardioid. So again, you couldn't really hear too much beyond like regular mic touching versus clickable buttons. And then there's a dial in the back. So I'm gonna just change the output of my headphones so you can hear if that has any sound. This is me turning it down right now. So I can't hear myself. I don't know what I can hear. I don't think I hear anything of the actual knob turning. So that just depends on how rough you are with your mic. Now let's go ahead and do a quick keyboard test. So again, for my streamers out there, what does it sound like with the keyboard behind the mic? I do want to note that the keyboard is slightly further than what it normally would be, but here's a test. Now, normally, like most people, I would assume there is some processing done to the audio in edit, right, in post. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys, or I guess have you guys listen to what the audio sounds like raw, directly out of the mic versus how it is processed. Here's what the audio sounds like raw, straight out of the microphone. No editing, no post touch-ups, nothing. Here is what the mic sounds like with the normal processing and post editing touch-ups. All right, now it's time to test out the 4 different polar patterns. And for those that are wondering, I don't recommend holding your mic. I see it as a trend on TikTok. I don't know why. Don't hold your mic. There's a lot of handling noises that aren't pleasant. So first, we got the cardioid polar pattern. I'm just gonna turn the mic and continue talking because technically speaking, cardioid polar patterns are meant to reject what is in front, or sorry, behind, and only accept or, you know, take in audio from the front. So if we were to go back to the keyboard, for example, you shouldn't hear as much with the keyboard behind versus if it were in front. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and switch over to the bidirectional. Now, technically with the bidirectional, we should be able to get audio from the front, not from the sides. Should be rejecting, as we can hear, but we should be getting some from the back as well, which would be ideal if you're doing maybe a one mic setup podcast or simply a video with 2 of you. So that is the bidirectional polar pattern. Now let's go ahead and move on to the omni. Now what you're listening to is the omnidirectional polar pattern. Now you should be able to hear me on every angle, every side of this mic. This is more so conference room type of miking, or maybe you're doing a That 70 Show style, podcast again. Now we're gonna go ahead and switch over to the stereo polar pattern. I'm gonna go ahead and mount this back on the mic stand so I can grab my guitar and pretend like I know what I'm doing. Right now, what you're hearing is the stereo polar pattern with my voice. Yeah, it sounds, you can hear left and right as I go bob from right to left. Let me grab my guitar. The idea being that you should be able to play or use this mic for instruments. So guitar sounds. So with the terrible guitar playing out of the way, that is what you're getting with the 4 different polar patterns as far as sound. But in case you're wondering, a majority of you will be or should be sticking to the cardioid polar pattern, the one that rejects from the back and simply captures audio from the front. All right, next we can go ahead and see how this mic compares to other USB mics. Okay, so I have the Fifine AmpliGame A8 to my far right. Then I got the Elgato Wave 3 right here. And then I'm gonna handhold the blue Snowball right here. I'll pull it out once I start speaking into it. So first we're gonna start with the AmpliGame A8, which is what you're hearing right now. So this is a test comparing the mics, starting with the AmpliGame A8, and this is what it sounds like. Now we can move on to the next microphone, which is the blue Snowball. Again, I don't recommend you handhold any of your mics. I was just too lazy to find another mic stand for this, but this is what the blue Snowball sounds like. I'd imagine it doesn't sound too great, but not a terrible mic, but definitely not as good as the Fifine AmpliGame A8. All right, and last but definitely not least is my main mic, which is the Elgato Wave 3. So I would imagine, I'm not monitoring right now, but I'd imagine that it probably sounds better than the Fifine AmpliGame A8 considering the price tag that it comes in. But yeah, so this has been a mic comparison of the Fifine AmpliGame A8 compared to the what I consider a higher end USB mic, the Elgato Wave 3, and then on the lower end, the blue Snowball. Which one sounds better? Can you even tell the difference? Let me know in the comments down below. So when a mic costs less than $100, when it has RGB, which we all love, and it's as easy to use as this microphone right here, you can't go wrong with this investment. So for my final thoughts, I strongly recommend this to anyone who is new to audio or simply just new to content creation and wants to keep things simple and easy. I don't think there's anything I would change about this specific mic because of the price point that it comes at, and for the things that you get, the RGB, the 4 different polar patterns, latency-free monitoring, touch capacitive buttons, which make less noise for any streamers out there, the included shock mount and pop filter. I think it's honestly the perfect starter mic for anyone looking to start streaming or creating content. And it might be one you stick with for a while. If you're new to streaming, if you're new to content creation, the Fifine AmpliGame A8 to me sounds like a solid starter mic. And that, my friends, is my review on the AmpliGame A8 by Fifine. If you guys have any other questions, let me know down in the comments below. If there's anything else you'd like me to test, maybe some more ASMR things you'd like me to try out, because I don't know ASMR like that. I don't know what sounds good. Let me know in the comments below, or go follow me on Instagram at Sweats Productions, and I'll make a short for you if you like, or Instagram reel, or whatever the case may be. What should I ASMR on this mic? I'll go ahead and leave a link down below if you're interested in the mic itself. Make it easier for you to find. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for taking the time to see what I see and listen to my sexy voice. Don't forget to like and subscribe.